No, it's not the Beatles. It's the New York Mets. The Fab Four, as Steve Cohen tweeted out, is here to stay. And a big reason the Mets were to win on Tuesday, getting the help of, the Fab Four. It's not Ringo Starr. It is Brandon Nimmo, 1, Lindor, 2, Soto, 3, and Pete Alonso, 4. That's your Mets Fab Four and your New York Mets. Now tied for first place thanks to a Patrick Bailey walk-off 3-run inside the park home run to beat the Phillies for the Giants late last night in a wild sequence. The first inside the park homer from a catcher since the 1920s. And the Mets, blowing it, then coming back in that 8th with the 2-run homer by Lindor, the 2-run homer by Alonso, Soto with the base hit in the 10th. And then of all people, Huascar Brazoban shut the door. I was shocked that Mendoza didn't go with Diaz for a second inning with the game, only a 1-run game with the automatic runner at second. But Brazoban shocked us all and made Mendoza look pretty damn smart. But some clutch hitting there in the 8th. And, that was a main takeaway from this game. Another takeaway I tweeted, and it blew up a little bit, about Clay Holmes. After the next month, post August 1, when we see what the Mets did at the trade deadline, which I can guarantee you they're going to get a starter and a reliever at the very least, they have to figure out what they want to do with Clay Holmes, because he can't go deep into games, and he's never pitched as many innings in a season in his life. So you're putting a guy in a position that he's never been in before and trying to make, a mountain out of a molehill. He's going to have to become a reliever at some point. I think he'll be a solid reliever. It's what he's done his whole career and why he got the contract that he did, because of who he was as a reliever. He didn't get this contract because of who he was as a starter, because he wasn't a starter. So Carlos Mendoza, David Stearns, they're going to have to come together, and post August 1st, when we see what this rotation updated looks like, say they get 2 arms, I think it makes it easier to move him to the bullpen. But, Holmes is not getting to the finish line. He's not getting to the end of September as a starter. Now, maybe the Mets say, hey, we're going to skip his next start or skip a few starts so he could get there. But why have a Clay Holmes not 100% going into October? Assuming the Mets make the playoffs, which I think we all think they will, don't you want Clay Holmes being at his best? And I think at his best is being a bridge guy as a reliever. Maybe it's an opener for a couple innings, and then 4th, 5th, and 6th is Clay Holmes. Maybe he's a 3-inning guy. But he's not anything more than a 4 or 5 inning guy right now. He's not, his numbers on the season are great. He's got a 3.3 ERA. He's had a good season. He's been worth the deal for the Mets. But we're hitting a point in the second half of the season where his arm's going to fall off. He's just not going to be able to do it. So I'm fascinated to see after. I think he's going to start as normal the next couple of weeks. Sunday, you're going to see him with the piggyback of Manaea. Kodai Senga will start Friday. Manaea was fine in his final rehab, gave up a couple runs, a 3-run homer, but he was fine, got out healthy, knock on wood. So it looks like we will get a Manaea Holmes piggyback Sunday. But that could end up being a reality in the next, maybe in 6 weeks. Let's say mid to late August, the Mets are going to have to potentially pull the plug and make Clay Holmes a reliever. So that was a big takeaway for me from Tuesday night's win. And then the Fab Four. Let's go. Who's Ringo? Who's the rest of the band? Help, I need somebody, help. Name it. We'll get all the puns in the comments. Let us know in the comments. You're watching Mets Daily. I'm your host, Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Radio. Smash that thumbs up in the video. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that join button. Become a Mets Daily Insider. We are launching giveaways this month. Also, you get your weekly watch party with me and members, as well as an exclusive weekend video. So click that join button. We found a little difficulty with Jane trying to find the join button. So if you have trouble finding it, let me know. But click that join, $5 a month. Exclusive watch party, exclusive weekend video, and exclusive giveaways to be part of the party. And follow me at Jake Brown Radio. Well, the Fab Four led the Mets to win in Baltimore over the Orioles. Tonight, they might not play. I'm pretty sure tonight's going to get rained out. Tomorrow will be a doubleheader. I was actually going to go tonight and do the trip to Baltimore with a friend, and the weather's just too iffy. I'd be shocked if they play tonight. Tomorrow looks like it'll be okay. So I expect a doubleheader tomorrow against the Baltimore Orioles, the last place Orioles, who are going to have a lot of trade chips here. Now, they may not trade all of them, but if you want, pieces to add to your team, they're one of the first teams you're going to go to. And, when I started looking at their roster and who might go, and you saw a few of them last night, I tweeted Brian Baker would be a good one, and then the Mets proceeded to crush him, although he's had a good season, so you can't let one outing. But I'm sure the Mets watched that and said, hey, we're not as interested. But look at this list. Now, we know Cedric Mullins. We've talked about him nonstop for weeks as a trade piece. I'm good with him. I'd rather Jarren Duran, but Mullins is a nice player. He's not having the greatest year, but he can hit for power. He does have speed. He plays a solid center field. Not great, but okay enough. Ramon Laureano, that's another guy having a really good year. A very intriguing piece. Now, he hasn't played a ton of center, but he has. Like, you want someone that can play a solid center field for you. You have Nimmo, you have Soto. You need someone in center, when you don't want to play McNeil or Tyrone Taylor, or when Siri comes back in late August or September. Laureano can play some center. O'Hearn's a guy that really is only going to be a DH for you. Now, that's the Orioles' only all-star. So if there's someone that's pretty valuable, I got to figure it's Ryan O'Hearn. But again, first base, a little bit of corner outfield, and DH. He doesn't help you a lot. Obviously, you have Pete at first. But in terms of a hitter, you want to upgrade DH. Ryan O'Hearn would be a hell of an addition. Adley Rutschman's out right now with an injury. I expect him to be back probably late July, early August. I've said on here, the Mets really got to consider upgrading a catcher. Francisco Alvarez has been okay in AAA, since they sent him down there. But you can't go with Terren Sanger and then hope Alvarez comes up in maybe August and becomes a star. Like, you got to add. And I worry that they're not going to, and they're just going to let this catcher situation play out. But with the lack of depth in this organization at catcher, it's not going to hurt to try and add someone. I've talked about Shea Langeliers. Adley Rutschman's another intriguing name. He's been an Oriole for a while. He's having a down year. He got hurt, but he does have some pop. When he's on, he's one of the better catchers in the league. He's just been a little bit underwhelming, but that's an intriguing name to watch, assuming he gets healthy, if they were to deal him. And then the rest, all pitchers. Baker, I mentioned. Kittredge, another guy you saw last night. I'm intrigued by him. Gregory Soto, a lefty, intriguing. Sir Anthony Dominguez, intriguing. I'm not intrigued by Charlie Moore, and he's on the list. I think he's probably going to get traded. I don't think he's an upgrade at this age to the Mets rotation. Felix Bautista is probably the best name on that list, the Orioles closer. He is having a fantastic season, a 2.48 ERA. Bautista, I don't know if the Orioles would want to trade him, but he's been lights out this year, over 32 and 2/3 innings. So that's the name I would love the most on this list. Rutschman and Bautista to me are the most intriguing, just because I don't think O'Hearn is that realistic. He just doesn't do enough position flexibility for you. But Mullins, Bautista, and Rutschman are the three names I like on this list. Laureano's fine, but again, not a great center fielder. So a lot of Orioles trade chips. We'll see if the Mets end up with any of them. The Mets adding a pitcher and losing one. They lose Tyler Zuber, who was claimed on waivers by the Marlins. Zuber, intriguing player, had some good stuff, was not good in the minors. He was always saying dog on Twitter, and that was his thing. Big Twitter guy. He's liked some of my tweets. Good Twitter follow. But unfortunately, his numbers were pretty bad in the minors, and Zuber's going to go, it looks like, to the Marlins here. So the Mets lose out on a reliever. They gain a reliever to a minor league deal, Junior Fernandez. Now, Fernandez was in Omaha AAA, a 4.93 ERA in 38 and a third innings. So an interesting kind of piece, a classic. Let's see what worked with the Hefner lab, picking up Junior Fernandez. They lose Zuber. Zuber was an exciting piece in the offseason we talked about, just because of his off-speed stuff coming from the Rays. Maybe he reinvigorates himself with the Marlins, but in the minors, he was struggling a bit for the Mets. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening on that front. Well, Mets-Orioles, again, tonight probably rained out. Mets tied for first now thanks to the Phillies' loss. You got Sean Manaea back on Sunday. Kodai Senga will start on Friday. You get your two arms. Jesse Winker came back last night. Didn't do anything, but good to have him back. And if I'm the Mets, Mark Vientos is in this weird middle ground of we don't know what it is. We don't know what is going to happen here with Mark Vientos. Does he get traded at the low value? Do the Mets still throw him out there? He has looked lost. And even when a lefty comes in, to face a Winker out of the bullpen, at this point, I might rather see Winker face the lefty than see Mark Vientos against anyone. And Vientos' playing time, it's going down. And Ronnie Mauricio homered again. Mauricio's been killing it. That great double play he turned to keep the game tied with the Alonso stretch in the eighth. Ronnie Mauricio is here to stay. Mark Vientos, I fear he is not. It's the cord could be cut quick here, so he better get it going any chance that he does get. Smash that thumbs up. Subscribe to Mets Daily. Join below. Become a Mets Daily Insider. I'm Jake Brown at Jake Brown Radio. Thank you all for watching on a happy hump day. Enjoy the game if it happens. If it not, we'll talk to you tomorrow right here on Mets Daily. Let's go, Mets.